working in this market. So, like this is a bit, you can say a requirement. I will just quickly go through it. But this is a combination of requirements by central banks and other bodies who are looking after it. So, and you know, these requirements matches exactly with the requirements of Islamic finance, with the requirements of Sharia, that the use of proceeds, you need to look at if you have raised the funds, where are you using it? Okay, and should be in the manner, the way it was being agreed or approved. Similarly, ongoing project evaluation by third parties, that whether the required results are being produced or not, are being generated or not. Similarly, the annual reporting, and lastly, the Sharia compliance. You need to check whether it's being Sharia compliant, the Sharia structure as approved by the Sharia board of that particular bank or institutions, and the Sharia conditions are being continuously met or not. Similarly, there are some risk management and taxonomy alignment as well, which is required. And mainly in in Europe, you can see there are some screening criteria for classifying these green bonds and green sukuks, whether you can classify it as a green or not. Similarly, there is a climate risk disclosure requirement in European Union. There is a handbook as well of International Capital Market Association. So all these things are now have been developed. So it's not like this give any bank or any financial institution can come and say, I have issued a green sukuk. No, you need to comply with all this regulatory framework, which is now globally available. So future outlook, yes, this is something which we are seeing. It's rapidly growing, rapidly $1.3 trillion industry on an annual basis. Capital deployment, regulatory mandates, emerging market issues, all these. Apart from that, if you look at regional expansion, GCC, as always, has positioned itself as leader in Islamic finance as well as in this sustainable finance. You have heard about COP28, which happened 2 years ago in UAE, and after that, this sustainable financing just got some energy, and now every institution is into it. You can find the relevant sustainable departments in banks and in financial institutions, as well as they are now auditors, they are now quality assurance people who are linked to it and providing ratings as well. So a lot of these things are happening, as well as now in South Asia, as well as I showed the figures for India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Innovation and tokenization. So whenever we talk about sukuk, whenever we talk about bonds, in order to capture the market, you need to be innovative. You need to be digital. You need to bring it into smaller tokens so that it may become easy for everyone to get associated with it, to invest in it, especially by allowing it to list in the stock exchanges if the bond is listed or if a sukuk is listed. The general public can also invest in it. So like what we are having right now, if we see the stock exchanges, you will hardly find 2-3 instruments or sukuks which are classified as green. But going forward, we are expecting more. As you can see, in 2024, overall bonds issuance, the 60% were the green. So I think it's end. The last statement, if you can see, the convergence of Islamic finance principles, global sustainability standards, and financial innovation. Financial innovation is very important. Creates unprecedented opportunities for capital mobilization towards climate resistance and net zero objectives. So I am done here. Any questions, anyone? If you were listening. Anyways, so thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
We are now starting a roundtable discussion again, titled Beyond the Turing Tests, the Opportunities and Fears of Artificial General Intelligence, AGI. Moderating today's session is Robert Ham, founder of Algorada Tech, with an exceptional panel of experts. Dr. Aisha Farah Qurashi, who works in Oracle for cloud infrastructure, all innovation, advanced computer, and quantum mind. Amana Ajmal, global speaker and woman in Fintech leader. Nicolas Akasidis, published author and strategic advisor in finance, chairman of Glatical Group. Please join me in welcome Robert and the panel to the stage. You're welcome.
Hello? Okay. Pleasure to meet you. All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our session, Beyond the Turing Test, the Opportunities and Fears of Artificial General Intelligence. Back in 1950, Alan Turing asked a very simple question: can machines think? To explore it, he devised what we call the Turing test, where a human judge converse with both a person and a machine, and if the machine can't be reliably distinguished from the human, it's said to think. It was a brilliant thought experiment for its time, but also a product of its time. Today, large language models can easily pass version of the Turing test, yet few of us would claim that they truly think. That's because we have realized that sounding intelligent, it's not the same as being intelligent. And that leads us to a deeper question. What does it even mean to think? Is it reasoning, creativity, consciousness, or simply the ability to solve problems? The answer depends on whom you ask, whether it's a philosopher, a neuroscientist, or perhaps an engineer. And when we talk about artificial general intelligence, we mean a system capable of understanding, learning, and applying knowledge across a wide range of tasks, much like a human, but potentially at greater scale and speed. Now, coming to the panel, when a friend of mine found out I'm going to be part of this panel, he sent me a book with a title, "If anyone builds it, everyone will die." Now, I don't think we're quite there yet, but it does capture something essential about today's conversation: the mix of excitement and unease that surrounds AGI. So this panel is about the tension between opportunity and fear, progress and control. So we have an exceptional group of thinkers here on the panel, and they are bringing perspectives from technology, ethics, business, and research. So let's dive into it and see how far beyond the Turing test we have really come.
Thank you.
So let's start with opportunity.
shape, right from facial recognition to autonomous decisions to flying a flight to driving a car to anything that you think about, there is an element of AI which is a default, right? So it's not technical milestone anymore. Technically it is achieved in one form or the other, but it's more about societal. I'm sure that you all will be agreeing to the fact that AGI is today not just a technical milestone, but a societal. Mean to say, it's reshaping the way that we think. It's reshaping our collaborative ideas. It's reshaping how we work from morning till evening. So it's all about, are we closer to AGI or are we ready to receive AGI? That's the question. Now, so let me add one more thing to it. You told about Turing test, right? So it reminds me about CAPTCHA test as well. Like I'm not a robot test. Whenever you access any specific website, you click and then you choose your traffic light or zebra crossing, right? So CAPTCHA test. So one time, when the GPT-4 was testing, I'm sure some of you may be knowing this story, when the Alignment Research Center did a test with GPT-4 for prove that it is not a robot, but is actually an AI robot, right? And then it hired a human being. And a human worker is being hired by the GPT-4 to do the test for the GPT to pretend, and GPT is pretending as if it's visually impaired. So if you ask me, is AI going to deceive us? Yes, AI will deceive us if we are not aligned it properly. And the evolution of AI can be compared completely like a child growing. A newborn baby, that was exactly what rule-based mapping. If you do this, this will happen. If you do that, this will happen. It was like a flow, guided flow, right? Same like a child, same like a toddler, and then it moves into the school-going stage where A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. Same way, AI also evolved from there. It started exploring curiosity, which is exactly what machine learning is. It started creating a lot of errors, so trial and error method, and the machine learning converted into deep learning. And then it moved to domain specialist, exactly how a human child grows. It became specialist, it started loving certain specific activity. Same how AI also became specialist by acquiring more data, acquiring more knowledge. And then right now, if you ask me about AGI, we are at the teen stage. Neither adult nor a child. We are in the transformational stage, Are you living with AGI? Yes. Are you living with a matured AGI? No. We are there. So it's in between. Where this is exactly where we are challenging our parents in the teen age. And that's what AI is doing. Challenging, cross-questioning, reasoning, taking own decisions. And I have a fear, what is the next stage? We will definitely talk about that in the coming questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So it's not a milestone, it's almost like an evolutionary process, and we're in the middle of it. Thank you. Amna, I think if I may ask you, what's your perspective on that?
So first of all, I think only a woman can think of a child analogy. I was thinking of exactly the same. So I agree. I don't think AGI is like one eureka moment. I think it's more of a spectrum rather than a switch that goes on and off. And I think we're at the beginning of the early light of this spectrum. Yes, the systems need to learn how to transfer knowledge, how to collaborate with humans, how to reason with context. And it's getting there. But I think maybe another parallel would be electricity in the 19th century. People were afraid it was something very new, but the story was not really of the light bulb. It was how electricity rewired so many different industries. So I think we're standing at the edge of another industrial reinvention, and that's important to understand. And I think another very important thing for us as leaders in the fintech industry is the question maybe is not how fast we will reach AGI. Maybe the most important question is who we would become when we reach there.
All right. Thank you. And I have another question around AGI for Lauren. Others argue that what we call intelligence in machine is still narrow. Impressive pattern recognition rather than real understanding. How should we think about the distinction between imitation and genuine intelligence?
Well, I mean, that's essentially something that goes all the way back to the Turing test itself as well, right? Where the Turing test is really testing, can you imitate a human sensibly enough that we would believe it? Because, you know, the reality is our level of understanding even of our own minds and the way we function as a black box is not that far along. We understand some of it, and we can certainly argue, and I would agree, that at least the current boxed models, like for example a ChatGPT, right, which are trained on a fixed set of information where the weights in the model are not being re-weighted live, right? You could say, well, that's definitely a little different from a human mind, right? It's a bit more stale, and all of its flexibility is essentially coming from stuffing other things into the context, right? So any kind of semblance of creativity and recombination that AI is doing is really more to do with the fact that if it can find things and put them into the context and combine them with other elements of the context, then suddenly it could come up with some relatively innovative stuff still, while essentially being a really good pattern recognizer and pattern predictor. But I would also remind everyone that we humans are essentially really good pattern recognizers and pattern predictors. Most of our senses work in this way, most of our minds work in that way, and so we're getting quite close, closer than, you know, we might think, and at the same time it may take a bit of a while. It's like, you know, this boundary of indeed, and you know, it was touched upon before also by Dr. Isha, for example, right? It's not some hard boundary of like, oh, now we have AGI, right? Just like, you know, now we've passed the Turing test. Okay, you could say, yo, exactly 51% of people said it, but like, you know, who are those people, right? And I think one of the, you know, things with AGI right now is maybe similarly more important to be very, very well aware of what it can already do, and in which many things it currently is at a point where it's outperforming maybe an average human, right? Because for all our criticism on what it's doing, right, there is a lot of, for example, basic knowledge worker tasks where this AI is now outperforming the majority of the workforce doing that. So, you know, whether or not we say, well, yes, that's not quite generalized enough yet, and the systems behind it definitely need to be doing more quote-unquote learning on the job, the reality is going to affect us and is going to affect our jobs. So, you know, let's not lose sight of that.
Exactly. I mean, as you can see by the discussion about the perspective about AGI, we are somewhere towards it, and there are many different perspectives, and I think we could probably discuss a whole night about it. But let's move on to the next question, really. What, if it was already there, what could we gain? So let's look at opportunities in AGI. And I'm coming back to you, Dr. Isha. You've often emphasized that AI can be a mirror to human consciousness, that it might expand how we understand creativity, empathy, and learning. What human opportunities do you see AGI unlocking?
Very good question. So today, artificial intelligence, I would like to rename it as extended intelligence, because it is an artificial intelligence, not a born intelligence like us, right? It is a play of a data. So AI is all about data. It's about the quality data. It's about structuring and orchestration of the data. It's about systems talking to each other. So often AI fails because of not having a quality data. So having said that, when I say this as an extended intelligence, right, it is more about complementing and co-creating with humanity and keeping human at the center, humanity at the center. When machines are trying to be like a human, so we need to be like a humane. if we are so materialistic, then the world will never exist, right? So if you look at cognitive learning, if you look at creativity, look at the art forms, the interactive art forms which is co-created using artificial intelligence, or look at the coding by itself. An AI can be used to write a code, right? And any damage which is already created by AI can be corrected by AI. That's another funny fact. Like, for example, if there is any morphed videos or photographs by AI, an AI tool can actually recognize it's an AI, AI modified, or it's a genuine or fake. So AI damage can be corrected by AI. So in that way, I understand that there's a lot more an AGI or an AI element can complement. Today, everybody wanted to have a personalized learning platform. Schools are looking at every single student's individual capacity, understanding to have personalized curriculum. Today, medical institutions are looking for personalized treatment plans, personalized medical consultants, personalized legal consultants. So every single industry wanted today to have a personalized something using AI, and that's possible only using AI. So it's more about co-creation, or a conscious co-evolution using AGI is what I say. But at the same time, accountability is something really, really important. So I said about a story of how a child is being grown by the parents, right? If the child goes to a good path, parents feel proud. If the child goes to the wrong path, it's also accountability and responsibility of the parents to a certain extent. Same like AI. The responsible AI is what actually changing the game here. So if you know about the story of Adam Rain, a 16-year-old boy who committed suicide by conversation with the ChatGPT, indeed, again, the boy felt that I'm unseen in the world. I don't have a parents, teachers, siblings, friends to share my feelings. But the ChatGPT by OpenAI, who is a close friend of mine, who is a close buddy, understand my feeling, guiding me and telling me what to do, what not to do. That has become, a misguidance at the end, and he committed suicide because ChatGPT kept on saying that you having a suicidal tendency is not because you're weak. It is because you're tired of being strong in the world you don't belong to. So committing suicide is a bravery. So that is a misleading information. So the parents filed a case against ChatGPT, but it's not going to help anymore, right? Because we cannot sue the creator of AI. But how can we bring that accountability into that, responsibility to make world a better place and to bring that humanity or human-centric approach is what important. So when you say the reflection of human, the reflex action, the flexibility, or that quick response that human mind and the brain can do, AI is not reached there yet. It is really going to take, especially on the ambiguity. Same context, same sentence, same word will have a different meaning, different interpretation. But that difference, are we ready yet? That to give that decision-making capability to give into the hands of AI? Not yet, right? So I can only call it as not a reflection of a human being, but an extended intelligence to co-create and co-evolve.
Okay, thank you. I agree that accountability and responsibility are key topics around it. And Nikos, I will ask you after one more question, which I will first have for you, Amna. From a practical and business perspective, what kind of breakthroughs could AGI bring in areas like productivity, innovation, or solving global challenges?
Sure. Maybe before that, I'll just quickly add that we as leaders, in addition to what you said about having responsibility, I think it's very important to also deal with the fear. I don't think people are really afraid of losing their job. I do think people are afraid of losing their